Welcome back to another episode of Make Your Big Impact. My name is Angel Tuccy. I'm also known as the Book Angel, and this is the show for authors, speakers, and thought leaders who know their story isn't just meaningful, but it's meant to move people, create influence, and drive real results. And today's episode is one of my favorite formats because we're hosting a roundtable conversation with some powerful voices who have each taken their message and turned it into impact in their own unique way. And every voice you'll hear from today took a different path, but the common thread is this: they chose to show up and speak up. And they know that trust doesn't come from sitting on the sidelines. So let me introduce to you today's panel. First, we have Jeff Klein. From the elevator pitch to keynote speeches, Jeff Klein guides people to the right words for each situation. As a speaker coach, business networking guru, author, and frequent media guest, he has received rave reviews, speaking over 2,000 times and reaching tens of thousands of business professionals, plus you in our audience today. We also have Dr. Gwen Patrone. Dr. Gwen is not only an entrepreneur of over 4 decades, but a veteran of the U.S. Marines, where she learned critical skills such as leadership, overcoming fear, and becoming an unstoppable force. She's helped over 2.2 million people, affiliates generate over $1 billion in sales worldwide. And today, you're going to hear from different perspectives, but with one shared mission: making a bigger impact with the message they were called to share. And so before we dive in, we're going to just introduce yourselves. Tell me in one sentence what you do and the impact you're most passionate about making right now. And Jeff, we'll start with you since we started with you in the introduction.
Okay. I help people use speaking to get the results that they want.
Ooh, I love that. I think speaking is so powerful. And are you working on, do you have any projects right now that you're most passionate about, or things that
I have a signature program that I'm trying to spread the word on. We've been doing it for a couple of years, and I have a dozen happy people who've taken it, and we're looking to make that explode and get more folks involved.
What's it called?
10 stages in 10 weeks.
Oh, I love that, right? Very definitive. That's very much those SMART goals, right? Very strategic, smart, specific, timeline. I love it. I love it. Well, Jeff, we're super excited to have you as one of our panelists here today. How about you,
Thanks,
Dr. Gwen? Tell us what you do and the project you're most passionate about right now.
Well, I'm a coach, and I've spoken for almost 35 years, and of course in the Marine Corps. But I take my skills that I've had in the Marine Corps, overcoming fear and being able to go through things that might stop most people, and helping people to become authentic to whoever they happen to be on the inside. And that could be a speaker, it could be a coach, it could be a business. So whatever's holding you back, you have what it takes on the inside, and I help you get to that point as well.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm Angel Tuccy, a media coach, publishing coach. We publish best-selling authors and help you create more publicity for your books. And the project we're most excited about right now is launching a brand new group called Podlicity. I'm trademarking. I'm going to own my IP. And so this is a big piece of that journey. Jeff, what was the moment that you realized that your message wasn't just for you, but it was something you were meant to share publicly? And I imagine you have to answer this and encourage other people to share their message publicly. So this might be a redundant question for you, but what was the moment for you?
So I had put together a little coffee with 5 or 6 other folks who were speaking around Dallas-Fort Worth. And we just were brainstorming about how to get more speaking gigs. And I said, well, why don't we start a lunch and see what, invite all the other people who are speaking. And they were like, great idea, Jeff. Why don't you start a lunch? And because that's how great ideas work. They die if nobody takes them on. Well, they helped, and it wouldn't have happened if they hadn't helped. But at our first lunch in January of 2006, 50 people showed up.
50 people. You were thinking
people, word of mouth.
Wow.
We were using Evite to invite people. So nobody was there who didn't know somebody who was there.
Yeah,
and
this wasn't from a social media post or TikTok gone viral. No, this was old school.
Yeah, old school Evite. And I knew that we had something special. And now, 20 years later, we still meet every third Friday. Now it's all virtual. And now it's an international community. So we went from 50 people at a lunch to 20,000 reach on social media. Not to brag, but
No, this is the place, right? Definitely.
but
We've got to do some bragging, right? Create your own
yeah,
PR.
it was organic and it was kismet, fate, karma, God, whichever one of those things you believe in. It was certainly not a series of unfortunate accidents like I used to joke about. It was definitely by some design. And
I'm so
I
glad that
turned
you
my ad
recognize that.
agency into Speaker Co-op as my business. And I became a public speaker and owned that, and then became a speaker coach after helping people for so many years.
Right. It's a journey, right? But he started, you showed up and it was old school using the tools that you had at your disposal. And I
Yeah.
think even when we started, I remember when we started our Facebook community, it was an idea and we just started it and it grew. And I think that sometimes like we all have a bunch of ideas that flop, like they might not have,
Yeah.
but you
Well,
take action and if something's gonna stick, right?
yeah. And a couple of years in, we still had 50, 60 people coming to lunch once a month. And we talked about better ways to promote, and we decided to switch to Meetup, but I wasn't sure people would be willing to pay. It's like, would people pay $1 or $2 a meeting besides the lunch to support us using Meetup, which is the beauty of Meetup is people find you who don't know you,
Yeah.
which is social media in itself, right? Probably the definition of social media. But and then that's how we started more exponential growth and expanded into another city. And uh, at one point, our goal was to take over the world one city at a time, and then that changed with things like COVID and the beautiful bandwidth we have now to do things like this. So we don't have to have a bunch of people in a room in every city. We do this internationally, and we have
No,
members in Africa, and we got our first Australian member a couple of months ago, and members in Europe, and of course Canada. And
When I
so,
think about Jeff, when I think about what COVID did for us to be global, it opened up the idea that we don't have to meet in person. I think before that, I think people were a little resistant to the virtual. No, we still have to meet, we still have to have meetings, and it opened up the idea that we don't have to meet in person. And so I love that aspect of it.
yeah, and one thing that I predicted and came true, fortunately, is that people would be willing to have guest speakers virtually once they started meeting again because they were no longer afraid of the technology,
Yeah. Well,
and
it's
that came
beautiful.
came to fruition.
Are you still looking for people? Can they join your group?
Absolutely. We Speaker Co-op's an international directory of speakers, and meeting planners use the site every day to find folks for their events.
You can give the site if you'd like to.
Speakercoop.com.
Speakercoop.com. Like we won't make
No
people
hyphen.
wait till the very end,
Yeah.
right? For that. Like
Yeah.
that's just too good.
Speakercoop.com. Yeah. No
Speaker Coop,
hyphen.
right? The
Yeah.
Speaker Co-op, Speaker Coop, however you want to spell it, speakercoop.com. Well, I love it and I'm glad that you're here. How about you, Gwen? What was the moment you realized your message wasn't just personal, but something you were meant to share publicly?
Wow. Well, as I mentioned, I was in the Marines way, long time ago, 1981 to 1985. So I'm pretty ancient right now, but I'm transgender. So, I make no bones about it, and I'm proud to be who I am and just authentic in who I am. But I love to write, and I've been writing and writing and writing and writing so much on social media, and I love to help people and to try to really think about what I can say, what I can write to be able to help one person. And I kept on getting, wow, I really needed to hear that. Wow, you saved my life today. That type of thing. And I was like, wow, I can have such an impact on people, whether they're in my community or not, to be who they are and what's their special sauce on the inside. In Jeff's case, speaking, and so on. In your case, just rounding up people with your personality. And other people, they have that special mix and have them be authentic and bring that out to other people so I can help people do that. In my community, I just love helping people because I want to help people stay alive. Honestly, because so many people hurt themselves, and in the Marines, in the service, we hear so many stories about getting out of the service and have PTSD and hurting themselves and committing suicide and so on. That I can help them combat that and combat that stress that they have through my writing and through the books I have and through different things that I do.
Yeah, you know, and I've seen some of your writing, and Gwen, it is very impactful, and I can see the impact you're making on. And really, it's a subject when you think. I mean, the mental health of it is very scary, and you're taking on something very, very big, very deep, very polarizing, and in
And
some
it's still
cases,
something people don't necessarily want to talk about.
yeah, yeah.
So good for
But you're
you.
Yeah.
making a safe space. You're making a safe space for it, and I've seen some of the posts about your journey and sharing that publicly. I mean, like for me, like sharing my story. It's not it's not this I don't know what's like the right word. It's not this dramatic story, right? I didn't grow up in a terrible childhood. I'm just I just think I'm vanilla sometimes, right? I just kind of think that. But like everybody has a story. And so the fact that you get out there, I mean, some of us who don't even have like and I don't want to put this stigma on you, but almost like a target, right? Like every time you open up or show up, like you're attracting some different perspectives, and I just think you're so brave. You're so brave, and so thank you for what
I get
you're
that.
doing.
Well, I get that all the time, and I've one of the techniques I teach is how to domesticate the fear. And how you do with a dog, right? You domesticate the fear, so you domesticate the wild animal away, and you can do the same thing with fear. And so I've learned in myself to domesticate the fear. So I go anywhere, anytime with a smile. I'm happy. I'm happy on the inside, confidence, and being nice to people. I laugh all the time, and it diffuses people, and thus you want to diffuse the fear from other people, and that the wall drops, and you can start talking to them because people automatically they put that wall up, and they look at me, and they're like they get these ideas from whatever they see in the media and they're like get preconceived notions, but after they get to know me they're like, wow, you're nothing like I thought.
Mm.
You're just like me, you just present different. I'm like, yes. Yes. So hello, you're actually pretty cool. I'm like, yes. So and it's like one person at a time, one person at a time, and through my writings and just meeting people, I try to change mindsets and do that. And it doesn't have to be my community, it could be any community. What makes you tick that you're afraid to get out to the public, that you really can help other people in whatever endeavor they have in their life, and to try to break through that and share your special sauce with people.
Do you have a community or a group that people can plug into?
But if they go to Facebook and just my name, Gwen Patrone, so that's like the tequila, but with an E at the end because I'm spicy. So Gwen Patrone, one word, and they can see all my writings and so they can see all that stuff on there. And of course, I love to cook, so I have a cooking channel that I just launched as well called Sexy Chef, and so that's another outlet for me. And also my writing, dysphoria writing, and 60-second millionaire. And so I'm just writing a lot of different things.
Well, I think it's a great outlet for you, right? And I think a lot of times writers become speakers. That's how it
Hmm.
opened the door for me. I always wanted to publish a book. It just was something I'd always wanted to do. I wrote a children's book, my first book, when my son was an infant, and it was called Mommy Has Lots to Do. And it is the most darling children's book, if I do say so myself. But I didn't publish it for like 15 years. And my daughter, she was 17 years old. She did the illustrations for it. She was 4 when I wrote it, 17 when I published it, and she did the illustrations. She's 32 now, and she's like, "Oh, mom, I don't," she's not thrilled with it. But I just love it. I love the impact and the story. But becoming an author opens up doors for speaking in stages. I imagine, Jeff, like a lot of your authors, if they aren't, or no, sorry, a lot of your speakers, if they aren't authors when they start, they end up publishing at some
Should
point. Is
be.
that
Yeah,
true?
we help them do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the very key question I learned early on from attending a National Speakers Association training was, are you an author who speaks or a speaker who writes?
Oh,
Mm,
okay.
mm,
Say that. Say that again. Are
Are you
you?
an author who speaks
Mm,
or a speaker who writes?
mm.
I happen to be a speaker who writes.
okay.
A lot of folks are the first, are authors who speak.
And it surprises me, Jeff, because authoring and speaking are not the same skill set. And I was not a
No.
speaker. I was an author. So when they asked me to speak, I was like, what makes you think I can speak?
Right. Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
question. Well, great question to ask. I had never heard that. I had never heard that before.
Yeah, great point, Jeff.
Okay, well,
Thanks.
looking back, right, and you've had a lot of success, a lot of growth, and Jeff, you kind of highlighted how the journey started, but was there something that accelerated your visibility or your influence, and why did that work?
So there were two things. First thought the initial thing I thought of was COVID, which we've already talked about a little bit, which helped us turn into an international business just by necessity. And but the what in we started in 2006 with those monthly meetings. In 2010, I fully committed to Speaker Co-op by closing my advertising agency and turning Speaker Co-op into my primary business, along with being a public speaker. And we opened up a second city. We decided Houston, Texas was the place to be, and farm living is sorry, just digress there for a pop culture joke. Anyway, we opened a second lunch, and we had 25, 30 people at the first lunch. And I had connections there. Several friends had connections there. But most importantly, my nieces and my sister's family were there, and I got to see them once a month growing up. So that
Oh,
was my primary motivation for choosing Houston. And so giving other people the opportunity to show up by having a second place they could show up, another meeting, was huge.
yeah.
And then we started, playing with the idea of licensing other cities, and we tried Austin a little bit, and we tried to break Dallas and Fort Worth, the DFW meeting up into just Fort Worth, and so ultimately we had meetings in 4 cities, but now it's all virtual.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the main thing was COVID, but then the other, was offering people another place they could show up.
Even when I lived in Denver, I hosted some networking events, and we had started with one city, and then and all in Colorado, and we were doing 8 events a month, and it's a lot of work to travel and to get all of that. And eventually, I had to have somebody else lead them because yeah, just it was just time
Sure.
consuming.
And we're
So,
still doing 6 virtual events a
yeah,
month.
and that's still that even
That's a
virtual.
lot.
I would
That's a
think
lot.
it is a lot. We're starting. So I started this Facebook community, and we're starting a new one. And as I'm thinking about like what would I want in a community and who are we going to attract, getting people to come together, that's a skill set. That's a skill
Yeah.
set, building community, and you've been able to do that very well, Jeff.
Thanks. Yeah, it again, it's started organic, and once we got on Meetup, we started hitting hundreds of people instead of just the
Hmm.
200 we'd started with, and we actually lost 150 when we went from Evite to Meetup.
Oh, you
People
did, but
didn't
you probably
didn't
picked
switch
it
over.
up
Well,
pretty
yeah,
pretty
and
quickly. Yeah.
soon we were at 500, 600, 1,000. Yeah,
Yeah, I've done the Facebook community. I was one of the early adopters for Meetup. We started our first Meetup in 2009,
yeah,
called Ladies Who Lunch. And so I'm a big fan of the community portals that just bring people together. And
yeah. Do you know how Meetup started?
I do. Yeah,
It's an amazing
yeah,
story.
after 9/11. Yeah. So how about you, Gwen? What was one action that accelerated your visibility or your influence, and why did it work?
Wow. Well, it's kind of a phased thing. And Jeff had mentioned a little bit when you become fully committed, that's when things start to really happen. So my journey is over many, many years, but of finding that I have this other energy inside of me, but not fully committed. So I'm going like back and forth and back. You've seen me, right? Back and forth, and it's not fully committed. I'm straddling 2 worlds, and I'm trying to do multiple things. But when you're not fully committed, you kind of don't really get the emphasis that you want or the impact that you want in whatever you happen to be doing. There's an interesting story of a skier that I wrote about today on Facebook, and he was a skier and he was doing pretty good, but he could never break through because he was holding something inside of him that he didn't want to tell everybody and that he was gay. And once he let that go and he told everybody, this weight was lifted off of him, and his points went like way up because he didn't have to be concerned about that anymore because that was what's stopping him. Now, everybody has their own monkey on their back that's holding them back. They're like, you can't do that. What makes you think you can do that? All these different types of things that people have, that monkey. If you can shed that, be fully present, fully committed, then you're going to have so much more energy to commit to be able to become who you're meant to be and be greater than that. So I committed, obviously, because I started telling people about Gwen, but I wasn't fully committed, and that took a number of years for me to do that, and it was still hampering my success. And the journey was very difficult. It's long, painful, expensive, and it just takes a long time. And you got to be very dedicated. But even though I did that, and I went to my second phase of being committed, of being fully Gwen all the time, I still wasn't fully committed because I hadn't told the rest of my business colleagues from before Gwen. So I was doing Zooms from the shoulder up. I wouldn't wave my hands with the nails. And, I was able to be my male self and do it pretty good. So I was playing the part, and I was still trying to be committed, which I really wasn't committed, and fully invested into what I was doing. And so I actually have an event going to in LA this weekend. They're paying for my flight, my hotel, everything to get there. And I'm like, should I go back
as a speaker? As a speaker?
It's an event for a new product coming from Asia that they want me to see. And so I used to be a really big wig, right? now I'm going back to be a big wig again. But they want me to be there, and they're paying this. Listen, we'll just go there. We'll pay for everything. I'm like, fine. I'm like, okay, do I go? Is my male self? And I'm trying to do that, and it's just not happening. And these people have known me for 20 years. 20 years.
But they know you pre-Gwen.
Oh, pre-Gwen. They have no idea. Okay. No idea. And we're very good friends. So I'm trying to go there, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to go backwards again. And I'm like, I just came to the realization this morning, and I wrote about it on Facebook, wrote that I'm not fully committed. I got to just do it, be fully committed, and get there. And I'm like, surprise, and it's like, take it or leave it. And you never know what's going to happen. Some people will like you, some people won't. No matter what idea you come out with, it doesn't have to be what I did, but it could be any idea. Some people are just not going to like it. You got to be willing to make ripples and create waves if you're going to make a difference, right?
For sure. I mean, I think there's even entrepreneurs or speakers or authors, right? Not fully committed. We're doing 100 different things. And today I'm trying this, today I'm doing that. And until you what do you call it? Burn the boats, right? Draw the line in the sand.
Dive in with both feet. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's scary, right? Because we kind of hold on to what's familiar, even though we know it doesn't serve us anymore. But they say last year, 2025, right? Chinese year of the snake, which means we were shedding the skin, what doesn't serve us, right? Getting rid of old habits and things that don't work well. And then this year's the year of the fire horse. So, riding on that horse, like going full speed, like going towards your goals, like get rid of the old and start with the new. So I'm not all big into the Chinese New Year thing, but when somebody told me that, I'm like, yes, right? Like it's time for the shed. And I don't like snakes, but I'm all for the visualization of that. But even for you, like, for you, it's Gwen or not Gwen, but for many of us, like we're still in that waffling space. Do I go all in on this thing? Jeff, you closed your company, your ad agency, so you could go all in. How long did that journey take you?
5 years.
Well, 5 years for Gwen. How about you, Jeff?
Well, the speaker co-op journey was 4 years from starting it to shutting everything else down. And
yeah, this stuff doesn't happen instantly. You don't just wake up and say, I'm gonna, and well,
and part of it was that I committed to speaking, not being an ad guy who spoke. I committed to being a public speaker, and I spoke once. My goal in 2007 was once a week. And then my goal for 2008 and 2009 was twice a week. So 250 talks in a 3-year period.
Wow.
That's my mantra too, Jeff. Two stages a week, right? Whether that's a virtual event, a podcast interview, or live, like 2 events a week has been my mantra for years.
And these were all in-person events.
Yeah.
So this was driving in the car, putting the miles on my butt in the car. And the biggest lesson I learned is that is a big basis for my teaching is mom and dad said, learn from your mistakes. Jeff Klein says it's a lot painful to learn from somebody else's mistakes, a lot less
painful, right? Yes.
To learn from somebody else's mistakes. I got the road rash, so you don't have to.
I know, but sometimes we're like, does it really?
Now, a lot of people still have to, but
yeah.
but I teach predicated on the fact that you don't have to. That because I made a ton of mistakes.
Yeah, there's a ton of people who have walked that walk before you, and this is one of the things that I love helping people publish their stories, because your journey, right, you don't have to be perfect, you don't have to have it all figured out, but you just being one step ahead or having picked yourself up from falling, that inspires so many people, gives people hope. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've read something in a book and go, okay, this happened to him too, right? And now I don't feel so silly, or I can navigate what I think might be coming because of they've shared their experience.
Yeah. And the one we get rewarded. The one week I got 3 phone calls from people to book me to speak that I had not called. That was a big moment. That's that's
organic.
That
great.
Was and that's when I said, okay, I'm no longer a free speaker. I'm a speaker who's willing to waive his fee.
Oh, I'm with you, right? Yeah, no, I might be willing to waive my fee. I'm totally with you on that one as well.
Yeah, and the results were the same, but it's not the same thing.
No, it's not. Yeah. It is not. Yeah. Oh, do you have anything you want to add to that, Gwen?
Well, waive my fee. That's great. I think I'll write that one down. Very good.
Well, and write these words down too, Gwen. What's your budget?
What's your budget? Yeah.
Because a lot of people are just like, okay, when do you want me? And so, no, what's your budget? And if they say, well, we don't have a budget, we're a Rotary, we're a chamber, we don't, we can't afford. It's like, well, tell me about your group. I'm sometimes willing to waive my fee.
I like that I'm willing to waive my fee. Can I bring books to sell? Do you have a budget in your budget for
training budget?
For training materials to buy books? I can offer you a wholesale discount. There's a lot of different ways that you can have this conversation, but just making yourself, positioning yourself as that speaker in the space. I'm willing to travel. I'm willing to cover my all my travel costs if you pay my speaker fee up front. Like there's
lots of ways to negotiate, and it's Zig Ziglar said there's no such thing as a free speech, and I live that every day.
Nice, very nice. There's so many little nugget drops here of words of wisdom, little mic drops. I'm loving it. All right, if we took a page, I'll start this one with you, Gwen. If we took a page out of your playbook, if someone listening here wants to make an even bigger impact on their life but feels overwhelmed, what is the one move that you recommend they make?
Wow. The one move that they have to make is they have to know that they are worthy. They have to know you are worthy to charge whatever your fee is. Do not think you're not worthy. I went through this my whole life. I always would undercharge what I'm supposed to be charging because I felt I wasn't worthy, that I wanted to be accepted, right? And you are worthy to charge whatever your fee is to your clients, okay? Your fee is. And get to that point where you are worthy so that this way you can charge that fee and be comfortable with that. So I learned that from a speaker who charged $20,000 every time they spoke. And he says, listen, and I'm worth it, that kind of thing, right? And one thing I had to learn was, hey, I'm worthy to be able to charge that fee, to be able to be successful and break through, so to speak. And if they can get to that point, I think that'll help them out immeasurably.
I remember listening to Dan Kennedy when he talked about when he would quote his fee to companies, and it was a large fee. I can't remember what it was. So just for the example's sake, right? It's $50,000, to work with us. And he said the biggest skill set for being able to charge that higher fee, like to have that value of what you're worth, he said, is being able to keep a straight face while you say it.
That's funny.
But, and you can get there. And, it's not like you have to swing the pendulum. we would do anytime we would do price increases for our company. We would baby step, the ladder of here it is. We're going to add the value. If you if you early step in, you get this, and we would stair step it up. Even in our speakers fees, we would stair step it up. We didn't just all of a sudden come out of the gate. And you'll find that it's also easier for you, I think, sometimes to swallow that too. But for most of us, honestly, right, another zero is something we should, or another comma, a comma or a zero needs to be added to our fees. That we are definitely, if you look at what, and this would get me, I think if you're around other speakers and you're around the other space, people who do what you do, and you look at what they're charging, like just get around them. Because when people tell you that you're too expensive, or right, or they don't have the budget for it, but they go and do it from somebody else, it's really just exemplary, being able to showcase the value, right? It's never the price; it's always the value. What's in it for me? Am I going to get what I want out of it? They're just, people are a little jaded, right? If they feel like they've overspent on something or bought something they didn't use. But it isn't ever the price. It's always the value. So I'm glad you brought that up, Gwen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I bet you get this a lot in the speaker fee conversation, Jeff, I imagine. Anything you want to add to that?
Well, just a little addition about virtual speaking, because the meeting planner community has gotten the habit of paying less for virtual speaking. And because they're making less on the event. Because if it's a hybrid event, it's not as big an issue. But when it's a virtual only, the audience is paying less, so they don't have as much money to pay. That I understand.
But they don't have the overhead of the event.
But that's the other side of it. They don't have the overhead, so they should have more money. But when somebody says, it's virtual, so we can only pay you X. The question your response should be, which part of my content do you want me to leave out?
Yeah.
Because the value of my content hasn't changed.
Yeah. There has to be a give and take, right? Yeah. For sure.
And you have to be reasonable. Jeff, again, if they have less, you have to be reasonable and work with them, but don't automatically go to.
Yeah. This is a conversation that you've had, though, multiple times. And so it's putting yourself out there and showing up and stepping up and being willing to have the conversation. And in some cases, we made the mistake of, I just did that for this price, or I just took that and I should have spoken up and I could have done it differently.
Yeah. That's on the list of mistakes is to settle.
Yeah.
Or not recognize that, well, if you'll just take it this time, we'll be able to pay more next time. Never happens. Next time that's now the starting point, the new normal. And it's like, well, no, that was only supposed to be one time.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's all we have this time. You set yourself up, and you've got to be true to yourself. Like Gwen said, you got to be conscientious. You got to be all in. And unfortunately, sometimes you have to be willing to say no.
And walk away, right? That's
the one. That's the car dealership thing. You have to be willing to walk away.
Yeah. Oh, that's the hard part.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
That's the hardest
all have fear of, the FOMO and giving up, and I could have had, and some money's better than none money, right? Like all of that. But okay, but how about this for you, Jeff? If we took a page out of your playbook, and if somebody wanted to make an even bigger impact this year, but is feeling maybe overwhelmed or lost, what should they do first?
What I think is you need to start posting on social every day. Pick a platform. When I was starting, I did a business networking tip every day, and it was on Facebook, and I think it pushed to LinkedIn as well. But it got me to 5,000 friends on Facebook, which to me doesn't sound like that big a deal because I did it and. It wasn't that difficult, but a lot of people.
Every day?
I wish I did. I should be posting. My goal is to post every business day, Monday through Friday, and I have a different campaign that I post promoting the Speaker Co-op website. Like today is National, World Lion Day or World Elephant Day or Cheese and Crackers Day, and come to our website for, your next cheese and cracker speaker or something like that.
Do you post every day, Gwen?
I post at least once a day. Now, the trick is if you can get yourself to post 3 times a day, post on Reels and things like that, and you post a B-roll one you have a B-roll background with you doing something, and with the images and the wording on the text with just music, right? Yeah. And another one with you maybe speaking to them, and another one as well, like a still picture or something. So 3 times a day, if you can do that every single day, you should have no problem getting business with that.
Yeah. I don't have 365 of the day ofs yet, but I have about 270 or 80 of them that I've created over the last few years. And it's just a matter of putting them up every day from last year.
I was going to say, do you repurpose your content?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because October 5th is October 5th every year.
Yeah, that's true. So that's my secret too. Like, I can just make a calendar. If I don't have something I can pull from, and because people don't remember, right? They definitely aren't going to remember 6 months from now. They're definitely not going to remember a year from now. Well, this has been really incredible getting to know you both. I love that you were able to banter with each other and just really dive in and give each other, just build up each other. This has been a really powerful reminder I think for me, that impact doesn't wait until you're ready. Like, you just start, like, just move, just take action, create the luncheon, right? Show up on social, go all in, be a little vulnerable. Recognize what your value, but you both have decided that your message matters, and you're helping others to get their message out. I love that. Jeff,
another way to make a splash, and it's a big part of what you're doing, and thank you for creating this Podlicity community. But if you feel like you're good posting on social and you've got a following, you got to start a podcast
and publish a book. Right, publish your story.
You got to do a book, but if you've and for example, if you've written 365 things like I did for networking quotes, I haven't done it, but that can be a book. Just those 365 tips can be a book.
Oh, I got a really cute one I created on Canva, Jeff, with just little quotes that other people had given to me with fun little photos, and it's fabulous. It's fabulous. It's one more thing to do. And I think so often, especially this time of year, there's so many things that we could be doing. And so picking the things that are going to have the most impact, right? And don't pick a bunch of things. Focus on one. 2 years ago, I shut down so many other elements of my business so I could focus on building out one thing. And that was our podcast networking community. 2 years, I turned off. I wasn't speaking. I wasn't doing anything else. I was networking. We were building that. And it's really hard to focus when you're so used to spinning so many plates. But I'll tell you, I've never had a business grow faster than by taking everything else off and just focusing on that one entity. And so really encourage you to focus. All right, Jeff, how do we find you? Do you have any goodies for our audience?
You bet. So what's your big idea? What are you burning to speak about? I have a free download called Book Yourself to Speak Action Plan at tiny.cc/mybigidea.
Okay. Oh, I should have written that down because I'm going to have to put that in the show notes.
It's in our chat for your show notes.
Oh, you're so good. Thank you.
Tiny.cc/mybigidea. I
love it. What's your big idea? And we all have one, right? This is the thing that as soon as he asked, you had that visceral reaction. I do this even with my authors. Like, what would you write about? What would you publish? They know, right? This is your permission to go forward and share, be a speaker who writes or be a writer who speaks. Just go and forward.
Get on stages. Don't let perfect be the enemy of great.
I love that. Fantastic, Jeff. How about you, Gwen? How do we follow you?
Well, I mentioned Facebook, Gwen Patrone, all one word. And if they want to look at my book, Dysphoria Hacks, it's dysphoriahacks with an S.com. And I am coming out with a new book called The 60-Second Millionaire. So I'm looking for people to hit with the companion workbook, which is this pitch. If you had 60 seconds to give anybody one nugget of wisdom, like your genius moment in 60 seconds, what would it be? And that'll be in the workbook. So that'll be the companion book to the 60-second millionaire, because ideas and so on don't usually come from holy cow stuff. It's from small incremental changes that you make in your life within 60 seconds every single day. You implement that and it ends up being holy cow moments. So that's what I'm looking for. If you're interested in being part of the workbook, contact me at gwenpatroneauthor@gmail.com.
You were holding up
Sorry,
something.
the screen's
Jeff.
not showing. I put Gwen up right here on Facebook, but you can't see it because of the glare. Sorry about that. I'm following you now, Gwen.
Following you. And this dysphoria hacks, I think, lots of us have, right? Those issues. So that's super valuable. Well, if you're an author, a speaker, a thought leader, and you're ready to turn your story into influence, leads, and real momentum, make sure you're subscribed to the Make Your Big Impact podcast so you never miss an episode. You want to join our new community, Podlicity, publicity for podcasters, podcast hosts, podcast guests. Podlicity.com. That'll take you to our new school community that we are just kicking off and launching. Super excited to own the IP on that. I'm Angel Tuccy. I am your host. It's been my incredible pleasure to bring these incredible stories to you. If this resonated with you, share it with somebody you know, right? Both of our guests today had some really incredible things to share, and I hope it touched you in a way like it touched me. Share this with somebody, and if they made a comment or a mic drop that you loved, make sure that you tag them in that post as well. I'm Angel Tuccy. I'll see you next time. Cheers.
Thanks, Angel.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much,
Jeff.
Angel. Thanks, Gwen.